It was 2016, and I had just found myself unemployed. I'd been working for the last 4 years of my life on a project at Microsoft in the same career field I am now, but working on the infotainment systems inside Ford and Lincoln automobiles called Sync. I was extremely proud of the work I did there, and I made lifelong friends that I still talk to regularly to this day. I look back on it now and I realize I was unemployed. I was getting up at 5 and 6 a.m. No later than 7 a.m. I was applying to jobs, talking to recruiters, trying to find something that would be the next fun thing in my life. It's kind of the life of a contract tech worker. There's always something new you're going to end up on because your contracts only last so long. I would be talking at 7 a.m. to East Coast recruiters, and 9 a.m., 8 a.m. I'd talk to West Coast recruiters. I was grinding, I was hustling. My girlfriend at the time, we'd been seeing each other for 2 months. Same lady I have today. Bless her heart. I remember I called her up, I was kind of stressed. And just wanted to see her. So we settled some plans and go watch some YouTube to kind of unwind and relax. And randomly I get recommended a video of an aquascaper making this beautiful shallow tank called Continuity. Almost like magic, I could remember all these things from my childhood of sitting in wonder and relaxation, watching fish swim. Angelfish, tetras, danios, barbs, bettas, guppies. These were all the things that I had kept as a kid. My dad was really into koi. We had this huge koi tank in the basement. My mom and her grandmother had always had angelfish and a lot of South American fish. I don't know whether it was nostalgia, euphoria. I don't know what it was, but it spoke to me. I needed fish in my life again. I was dealing with all this stress about not knowing when I would find the next job that I was going to be really happy about. I didn't know how long it was going to take. And that was starting to stress me out because I'm always that person who's like, I could take a month off maybe, but after that I'm going to go stir crazy. And I was looking in fall, which is one of the worst times of the year in my area in the tech industry, at least at that time, to try and find work. So many people take their vacations, kids are going back to school. It's very, very tough to find contract gigs. So I really needed the stress relief. I called my lady up and said, "Hey, do you have any problems with pet fish?" She was like, "You mean like having a fish tank?" Well, yeah. I used to keep them as a kid, and I saw this video, and I've been thinking about having a fish tank again. She's like, "No, that sounds cool. You like a betta?" I'm like, "Yeah, something like a betta." She goes, "That sounds pretty good. It sounds pretty cool. I think you should do it." I'd already decided well before that phone call, but, just want to make sure. So I find a few videos, and eventually I settle on a Fluval Flex. Same one that you guys have seen me do videos on. It's always in the background of my live streams. That was my first fish tank when I came back to this hobby in 2016. I was still waiting for it to arrive. I started looking on OfferUp for things because I had this all-in-one tank, the small tank, but I'd like a big tank eventually. Again, we had big tanks in my house when I was a kid, and I love big tanks. And I found this one, the one sitting behind me, as I lovingly now call it my retirement tank. Found a guy on OfferUp. Had this ugly painted yellow stand, but it was just a big tank. Held water, came with a filter and a light. They weren't the right ones, but I negotiated, got the price down, and all of a sudden I had this thing delivered to my house before my Flex had even shown up. They already had multiple tank syndrome. So why am I telling this story? Story I've told several times before. because there's a twist to this version. Maybe a few months later, I'm already got a bunch of tanks. I've still trying to figure out that whole thing, and I'm unemployed still. Find a small job for about a month and a half, and thinking to myself, man, I don't know how this is going to end. I don't want to lose my house, and fish are kind of expensive, but they bring me so much peace. I end up meeting some people and find out about the Greater Seattle Aquarium Society. And this little store called Aquarium Co-op that I've been watching on YouTube that turns out is only half an hour north of me, assuming there's no traffic. In traffic, it's like an hour. And I go there, find out more about the Aquarium Society, meet their employees, meet a gentleman named Corey. It's funny to look back on those kind of times. I join my local club, I get way more interested, and all of a sudden I find out about this program called Plant of the Month. You can get free plants as long as you participate in the Horticulture Awards program. Up until that point, I hadn't been interested in participating in any of the programs. I just wanted to go to the meetings and the auctions and listen to people and learn. But now I could get something free. Something cool for free. And I was hooked. I met all sorts of people. Then started making some small videos, just barely showing off my tanks when I got new fish, as I was putting up tanks rapidly, really getting into that multiple tank addiction. Guy from the club reaches out to me, a gentleman named Alex, says, "Hey, I got a YouTube channel. I was wondering if I could come tour your house, because you've been doing all this plant stuff super fast, and I just want to see like how you keep your tanks, and we've talked at meetings." I was like, yeah, that sounds great. It sounds like a lot of fun. I hadn't even had 100 subscribers yet. I think I was at like 80 something when Alex came over, and almost overnight I suddenly was at like 200 subscribers from his channel. And now I had a reason to keep making content on YouTube. Eventually, Jimmy from the Aquarium Co-op moves out to Washington, and I get to see him and talk with him more in stores instead of just talk to him in chat rooms, in live streams, right? And he's like, "Hey, let me come over and film your fish room. I just did Scott up north." And it's a guy that I know. He's a good friend of mine with Scotty. I hope you're doing well if you're watching this. And I was like, "Yeah, dude, that sounds like a lot of fun." And I've met Joel at this point. I'm talking to Joel, and Joel's like, "Oh, let me know the day. I'll come over the same day. We can all hang out and we can all shoot stuff together." I filmed this stupid video called "They Invaded My House," where I was filming them as they were setting up their B-roll shots. And Joel and Jimmy put out these wonderful videos just kind of hanging out at my place. Jimmy especially. I mean, his video work is amazing. We all know that. But that really launched my channel. I went from a few hundred subscribers to I think I got like 700 subscribers just from his video, which at the time was like mind-blowing to think of. And I very quickly ended up at 1,500 subscribers. I catapulted way past 1,000 very, very quickly. And it's some of you are still here from that time. It's been a little over 3 years since then, and almost 4 years since I kind of started more reliably doing YouTube content. And I'm always astounded and humbled that folks like you give me your time. This crazy guy who works too much, keeps rainbow fish, and likes plants, and talks about how to test aquarium equipment of all things. I am always astounded when I see the incredible warmth in people's comments, or just the love that the Fish Fam gives, not only to me, but to some of our biggest and smallest creators alike. You know, when Jimmy did his tour, he had a hashtag on it, said "No Small Creator." I took that to heart. That's a reason why I very frequently, well, I guess I will try to very frequently, and not very frequently, because my schedule is so wild right now, but I try as often as I can to give back in little ways by going on a live stream randomly, or, you know, doing something like that that helps other channels, or just gives them some content. I wish I could do more of that, I really do, but my schedule right now doesn't really allow it. But eventually, I'm going to get to a point where I can, and I really look forward to that. I stayed up late about a week ago, because as I had finished editing a video and getting it rendered, I'm going to bed, and it's like a habit every night at the end of the night. I check my analytics in YouTube, and I try to make sure that there isn't a comment that I meant to respond to that I have forgotten to do so. And usually that's just I heart all the comments that I read, and I do my best to read every comment, but some get lost in the shuffle, so I kind of have built this habit of every night before I go to sleep, I check my YouTube studio stuff on my phone, and I read a few comments that I haven't read before. I noticed my subscribers were at 14,999. I couldn't help myself, and I was like, I'm going to stay up until it hits 15,000. However long that takes. Well, 45 minutes later, 15,000 happened. During that 45 minutes, I kept looking around on my phone, and I looked at Jimmy's video when he came to the house. I looked at Alex's videos. I looked at my own video history, and I could see when those events happened. I looked back at some of the videos that I did with Corvus Osk and Joel, and eventually, of course, there was when Corey finally toured my house officially for the aquarium co-op. And I'm very thankful for all those people, because at that time, they had no real reason that they needed to come to some crazy guy's house who likes rainbow fish and plants. But they did. And in some way, shape, or form, influenced what my channel would become. What you guys devote some amount of your time every week to. And I cannot be more thankful. Time is the most precious resource we all have. And the fact that so many of you are willing to give me your time once or even twice a week, I will be eternally grateful for. It is difficult to put that into words in a way that doesn't sound like anybody else who says it. But I truly understand the value of people's time. And thank you for giving me yours. Very recently, I had an opportunity to speak at my own club. 4 years after I had started getting into plants, I had become a Master Aquatic Horticulturalist 10. I had done our master program 10 times. And a week from when this video debuts, I'll be speaking at the Greater Portland Aquarium Society about plants. It is amazing at times, that journey that I have been able to travel on out of something that I thought was just going to be a way for me to handle a little bit of stress while I was unemployed. And I was going to spend more money on a fish tank than I probably should. Thank you. Every one of you who comments, thumbs up, thumbs down. It doesn't matter. From the not so nice comments to the absolutely wonderful ones that I get to see people using my light settings or my plant tips or whatever it may be and finding success. Thank all of you for your time, your willingness to participate in this madness. Thank you so much for watching. And stay awesome.